Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians is spending a lot of time helping the church at Corinth to not be so self-centered. They needed to consider other people and to realize that they have now been connected to a community. They've been connected to something larger than themselves. And they needed to remember that in the types of foods that they ate. They needed to consider the conscience of other people with the different meats that they ate and that sort of thing. And that covered basically chapters 8 through 10. But also they need to be considerate of one another in the Lord's Supper and not just getting together and then eating up all the food and then not leaving any for the people who are coming in at a later time from the fields, the poor. They need to consider other people in that sense. And then we find today even with the spiritual gifts, they needed to be more concerned about the rest of the church than just themselves. And that's what chapter 14 really hones in on. He says in verse 1, he says, "Pursue love, yet desire earnestly spiritual gifts, but especially that you may prophesy." And he gives a reason for it. In verse 2, he says, "For one who speaks in a tongue does not speak to men, but to God. For no one understands, but in his spirit he speaks mysteries." But in verse 3, he says, "But one who prophesies speaks to men for edification and exhortation and consolation." So he's saying you need to desire the gift of prophecy more than the gift of tongues because it has a greater benefit for everyone else. You can see how one might want to desire the gift of tongues, especially if a person just focus on themselves because of how that strengthens and builds their relationship with God. As he mentions here, when you speak in the tongue, you speak to God, not to men. But Paul says, you should actually be more concerned about what would edify other people and not so much just what edifies yourself. And he says in verse 4, "One who speaks in a tongue edifies himself, but one who prophesies edifies the church." So he's given that as a reason why they should seek the gift of prophecy over the gift of tongues. And then he would go on to say in verse 12, "So also you, since you are zealous of spiritual gifts, seek to abound for the edification of the church." Now, these are some things that are important for us to understand as we meet together with brothers and sisters in Christ today. What are we there for? Are we just there for ourselves? It's very easy when we go to church, to just be focused on ourselves. Did I get what I came to look for at the church? Was I built up? Was I edified? Were my needs met? And certainly it's a good thing if we are edified and if our needs are met. Certainly that would be a sign of a good service if people are being edified. But the idea is that we are mutually being edified, that we're being edified all together as a church because each of us is concerned with the other person's edification. And so as we go to church, we should be focused more on not so much what can I get out of it, but what can I do to help other people get the most out of this worship service. And when we have that mindset, we'll find that we ourselves become edified because we're not so super and hypersensitive about what's going on with us, but we are exerting our energies towards other people and helping them. And when we help other people grow, we ourselves grow. When we help other people be edified, we become edified. When we console others, we become consoled. And so it's a wonderful thing that happens when we come together just seeking the other person's benefit. And when everybody's doing it within the church, everybody is built up, everyone is edified, and the church grows up into the measure of the stature of Jesus Christ more and more. So today as we go to church, let's be concerned about building other people up, encouraging them, doing what we can to strengthen their faith and help them on their journey. And as we do that, it will benefit ourselves, but hopefully there will be others who have that same attitude who can build us up. And the whole point being that the whole church then becomes edified. So these are some things to think about as we do our reading today and also as we go to church. But with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.